Okay, we're going to go through and we'll do the tutorial for Introduction to Revit Structure Part 1, our structural steel framing. So to start with, we're going to go to a new project. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to pick the structural template, and we'll hit OK. Give Revit a second to get everything going. Then we'll come in here, and first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our grids. Now notice right now I'm on level 2. I need to make sure I get back down on level 1. So we'll start there first. Now we'll go to grids, and we need a 2 horizontal by 3 vertical grid. So I'm going to do my verticals first, or my horizontals first. So there's 1, there's 2, I'll come over here, 3, 4. Now if you notice when I did those, I did not really care how I was laying those in. So like right now, the bubble on this 3 grid line is backwards. Just click on it. That gives you the option to flip it by using the little check boxes. You can have them both ends, however you want. So I'm going to move these a bit just to try and center this up some. And then I'll go through and I'll adjust. Okay, so for our vertical lines, these guys right here, first thing we need to do is we need to rename them. So I'm going to select it, and I can either rename it here in the bubble, or it's easier to do it over here in the properties. So that's A, that's B, that's C. And then 1 and 2 I have correct. You can adjust those the exact same way. Now our spacing is that there needs to be 30-inch spacing between the numbers. So from 2 to 1 there should be 30. Looks like I did that right to start with. If you wanted, you can also always change this number. So now it's 35. I can select it again and make it 30. Good there. Between the A, B, and C, we should have 28 feet. So I'm going to leave B where it is because it's right in the middle. So I'll select A, select the dimension, 28 feet. Then I'll do C, select the dimension, 28 feet. Okay. And just to help, I'm going to drag some of these grid lines in just a bit to make life a little bit easier for us in reading everything. Okay, there we go. Now the next thing we'll do is we'll go and we'll work on our levels. So I'm going to go work on this from the south elevation. So here's my south elevation. My elevation lines extend out a bit, so I'm going to bring those in to start, just so that we can see everything a little bit better. Okay, so right now level 1 is at 0, level 2 is at 10. We're going to go through and we're going to start changing these names. So level 1, I'm going to select it. And again, I could change it here in the identity data under the properties, or I can do it on the tab. We're going to call this top of slab. Yes, update, rename the corresponding views. Go to level 2, click on it. Now this is going to become TOS, top of slab, second floor. We'll go to floor. Okay. Yes, go ahead and update that. All right. And then I'm going to move these heads up just a little bit because we need to change the height of floor to floor from 10 feet to 14 feet. Okay. And then we're going to create another level, so I'm going to go up into Datum under the Architecture tab. Start at the left, pull to the right, let it line up. That's good. Change its title. We're going to call it Top of Slab Roof. Yes. And we do want to change it so that it is also 14 feet. Move these heads up just a little bit more. There we go. So we should have 14-foot difference. We should have a top of slab second floor, and a top of slab roof. Okay, we need to add one more layer We're level down here at the bottom, so I'm going to come below the top of slab, bring it over, change its name to top of footings, and we need to set it so that it is -4 feet, so 4 feet below grade. So this should get you all the way through step 3. All right. So the next step is we'll go in and we'll place our building columns. Let's go back to our top of slab level right here. Okay, see our grid lines right there. I'm going to go up here to structure, click on column. Now in column, it gives us the options. We have W-shaped columns and concrete rectangular columns. We'll work on these a little bit more as we go. Right now, we need to find a column. We want to place one that is 10 by 30. Well, that's not an option that we have right now. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to hit edit, load. We go down to the bottom for structural. So structural columns, that is different than these columns up here. These are architectural columns. So slight difference in what they're used for. Structural columns, steel, W wide flange column. And I'm going to go down here until I find a W10 by 30. There we go. Hit OK. Let's load it in, and I'll hit OK now. So now I've got my column. Now, if we wanted to, we could go in and place these on it. It'll snap in for the grids. I like using the Add Grids feature. So I select that. Now I go through and I highlight to get all of my grid lines. You can see that it's overlaid a little bitty column on each one of those. I'll hit check for finish. So now I've got a column in every placement. Now it's a little tough to see these because we're in our coarse view. I'm going to change that up to medium. You can see now that we have a little more detail in what's going on with our columns. Okay, got those in there. All right, let's go to our 3D view and take a quick look at what we have. So if I select one of these columns, right now it says its base level went from top of footing to top of slab. Well, that's not what we want. So I'll select one, I'll go down, right click so I get to my menu, select all instances, an entire project. We're going to change them. So we're going to set their top level now to top of slab roof, base level to top of slab. Hit apply, and there we go. That's what our column should look like. Okay. Next, we're going to add some column footings onto these. So let's go back to, let's go to our top of footings page. And this happened to us before where we couldn't see our grid. So I'm going to go back to top of slab where I know I can see it. Let's go up here to foundation for isolated footings. We can always move these around. So isolated. Now for these, we want to have a 5 by 5 by 1.5 foot thick, which we don't have. So we'll look in here. Nope. So I'm going to go to edit type, duplicate, and now it'll be 60 by 60 by 18. Okay. I'm going to come in here now. Now I change the width. I change the length. Leave thickness at 1 foot 6. Hit OK. All right. Now again, I can do add grids, highlight. Be sure not to accidentally get your columns when you do this. Hit finish. Yes. All right. Sometimes that doesn't work, so we'll just go through and we'll just place them by hand. Now we'll select one, select all instances, an entire project, and we're going to change these. So right now, they're listed, their level is top of slab. We're going to change that down to top of footings. Go back to 3D view. You should see we have a space between those two. That's what we want to have. Okay. Next thing we need to do is we need to add some piers. So let's go back to top of slab. We're going to put in a different type of column now. We're going to go and we're going to use a concrete rectangular column. And we want to use one that is 18 inches by 18 inches by 4 feet. Now, again, we don't have an 18 by 18. So I'll select this one right here. Edit. Duplicate. Just make it 18 by 18. Oh wait, I hit rename instead. Duplicate. 18 by 18. Hit OK. And change the other dimension to 1.5 feet or 1 foot. Sorry if I did that right. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to look over here on the left. And let's see, we want to do now we want to place these on top of slab. Well, we'll just leave it alone. As before, I'm just going to place these real quick, and we'll go through and we'll modify them in a minute. So we've got those. Let's go back to 3D view so you can see. So actually these came in at just the right height. So if I select one, came in base levels, top of footings, top levels, top of slab. They're preset to work with those levels, so we're good to go. Okay, so we've got our piers in now. The next step is we need to add a 4-foot stem wall that's going to go all the way around. That's going to connect pier to pier to pier to pier. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my top of slab. We're going to go down here and we're going to go to wall. Okay. I'm going to go down here to structural wall. Okay, so make sure you remember to save your project, guys. We're going to open it up and I'm going to go to foundation 12-inch concrete. Okay, so our base constraint is going to be top of slab, and this is just the way that this one works. So we're going to set the offset to -4 feet. That way it'll go down to the top of our footings. 4 feet up to top of slab. No offset at the height. And I'm going to set the location line to finish face exterior. Doing so, I'm going to start on the outside edge of the pier here and then work my way around. Going on the outside of the piers. I'll hit enter to end the command. So now we've got our 4-foot pier wall, and it should look something like this, where it looks like the piers are now embedded into that wall. Okay. Last thing we'll do on this part is we'll actually go up here to our foundation wall, and we're going to use the 36 by 12. Now the way this works is we won't actually place it, we're just going to select the walls for it to be associated with, and it actually sets these up as a profile that's swept around the length of the walls that we choose. So 36 by 12, and I'm just going to come in, all I have to do is select the wall, and you can see that it drops the stem wall footing in for us. Okay. Now we'll go back to our top slab. I'm going to come over here under structure, and I'm going to go to slab. And we're going to go in and we're going to pick lines. So a lot of different ways to do this. I usually try to just go through and pick the lines myself, because we're going to have to go back and trim, because we can't have these little corners of our piers overlapping with our slab, or we're going to end up with some trouble. Okay, so let's go back up here to the first one. I'm going to use my trim and extend tool, the one right there. Trim out that corner. I'm going to go ahead and get both of those done first. So there's the left side. Right. So trim and extend, trim, extend. Works just like the fillet tool does. We set it to fillet radius 0 in AutoCAD. Okay, so now we've got the corners right here in the middle. You can see we need to trim out this section that's right here. Now, to do that, we could try and do this with the trim element, but it only wants to let you select one at a time. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to use the split element. Come in and I'm going to slice that there. So out. I'll go to the bottom one. And now I can use my trim extend, since I've broken this line, to trim out where those piers are. Hit check mark to finish. Now, it's going to ask me, would I like the walls that go up to this floor's level to attach to its bottom? Right now, the only wall we have that does that is our pier wall. We want to say no because it actually extends above the bottom of the slab. If we said yes, it would be associated with the bottom face of this slab. Okay, let's go to 3D view. And it's a little tough to see here. I'm going to go back to the top of slab and I'm going to throw a section through here. And you don't have to do this. I'm doing it just so you can see how this works. I'll hit go to view. Okay. And if I change it to shaded and go to medium, you can see here's our column, here's our wall, there's our slab where it comes in around that edge. Okay? So that should be roughly what we have. Top of slab. Let me get rid of that so we don't have to worry about it. Yes, I know, please delete. Okay? So I'll go to 3D real quick so you can see, and I'm going to change my shading over to, we can do realistic. You can see, so here's my slab, there's the pier, there's the stem wall, the footing, and the continuous stem wall footing. All right? Okay. Now we're going to go in and we're going to create, we are going to actually create a section, so let's go back over to our top of slab. So similar to what I did before. So just to the, should I say this right? So if we create a section along column line A, so we're going to do it along this line, so we're going to cut through here. Section. We're going to cut through. Okay. And remember, this depth box controls whether we see the pier behind it or not. We're going to set it so we don't. Okay. Over here on the left under sections, I can find it there. Or you can always right click on a section and click go to view. All right. And let's up our detail level to medium. And I'm going to shift over to shaded so you can see this better. Okay. So there's our slab coming in. It meets our stem wall. And you can see that they both finish on the same level. Okay. Over here in the project browser, I'm going to right click and choose rename. And I'm going to say section at column line A. So section at column line A, renaming the view for section 1. Okay, see it's changed over here now. Okay, so let's go back and let's start working on the second floor. So I'm going to go up to top of slab, second floor. And in mine, you can see, I can still see the grid lines. If you can't see these, we can always go back and you can do it on a different floor and then we'll just change the level of it. Okay? All right. Now we're going to go up and we're going to select beam. And I want to select the 12 by 26. We've got 16 selected already. There's my 16 by 26. There we go. Now we're going to frame in this floor. Okay. All right, so let's go through, and what we're going to do is we're going to draw these in. Now, again, if I want, I can draw from column to column. It places them in. It helps if you update your detail level. Now, when we do this, we don't draw all the way through the column because our steel can't pass through a column. Okay. We need one more going across the center here. All right. Next thing we'll do is we need to go in and we need to modify these. So all the steel that's running along the numbered grid lines, we're going to leave alone. We're only going to change the ones here that run up and down on the ABC. So I'm going to select those three. Okay. And over here in my settings, I'm going to come in here. And in our instructions, it says that we want to work on what type of connection it is. The new wording for that is start attachment type, or it should be. Let me select another one and see what it is. Oh, sorry guys, I remember why that doesn't work. Now, to change those settings, we cannot be in the top of slab second floor. Switch over to your level 2 analytical model. See where now we're just in the drawings, we just see the lines. Now if we select these, we can go in. And so we go in here. So start release, we're going to go in and set these to fixed. We're going to change our end release to fixed as well and hit apply. What that does is that changes the way in which the model interacts with itself. Let's go back to top of slab second floor. Okay. Now if I change back to a coarse view, you can see there's just my lines. If I go back to medium view, we can see it very clearly. Okay, let's add some framing to our inner bays now. So we're going to use the detail that's in our drawing. So let's do the left-hand side first. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go to beam and sorry, let me go back to structure. I selected the wrong one. Instead of beam, this time we're going to use beam system. Okay. We're going to go over and we're going to set. So over here for the beam type, we're going to use the 12 by 26 W section. Our justification should be set to the beginning. Fixed distance of 6 feet. And I'm going to come here near the beam on column 2, and you can see it's already laying those out. So what it's doing is it's looking at that distance of what's available in this bay. And that's how it's setting it. If I wanted them to go the other way, I'd go to here. But we want them to go left and right, so I'll select right there. Okay? All right. Now, the one on the right we can't really do because it is inconsistent. So we're going to have to go back to structure and just use regular beam. Let's see, and we'll put in our 12 by 26s first. So we've got one that runs from here to there, and another one down here. All right. Next one we want to do is our 14 by 30. So 14 by 30 goes across there, goes across there. All right. Now as we go down, there's a 14 by 30 that runs right here. Make sure you extend it all the way to the beam. Okay, I've got a 12 by 26 that runs back here. And then over here we've got one more 12 by 26 that runs on right there. Okay, now I'm going to go in and start setting these distances. So I'm going to select the beam. This should be 4, 9. Let's go to the next one. This one should be 4, 9 as well. This one should be set at 5. And all I'm doing is working my way down the line. That's 5 also. So this one should be at 5, 3. If I select that one and I switch the witness line, should be at 5, 3 as well. So we've done that correct. Next, let's check these. So this one right here needs to be, move the witness line back to the center. That should be 3 feet off. And then this one right here, from the other space across this opening in the bay, should be set at 11 feet. Okay, so when you finish step 11, you should look roughly like this. Okay, let's go on up to our top of slab roof. Let's see what we can do up there. Now, again, we've got that weird little issue where certain things decided they did not want to show up here, but we do have our beams, so we can still do the work. Okay. Okay, first thing we're going to do is frame from column to column using our 16 by 26s. So I'm going to go from there to there, there to there, to there. We just slowly work our way through. There are other ways to do this using the on-grid system, but because our grid is not being happy, we're just going to go over that right now. Sorry, I just realized I didn't turn this back on. Okay. So we've got those. All right. We're going to go. Now this is a little tougher in the fact that within our model, we don't have a level 3 analytical. That just didn't come in. If we wanted to go in, we could go to our south elevation. And there are ways that we could get in to do that. If I select this one and I tell it that it's structural, and hit apply, we can try and do it up there. So I can select this beam, but you notice that it does not give us the same options. For all intents and purposes, for what we're going to do in this class, we don't need to worry too much about that. But we are going to go in and we are going to modify the structure a little bit. So here I'm back in my 3D view. So here's the beams that run on the A, B, and C line. We're going to select those, and over in our settings, we're going to go to start level offset. We're going to set that to negative 2.5 inches. You hit apply, you'll see that'll tilt the beams down. And our end level is going to be negative 2.5 inches as well. Okay? The reason we're doing that is we're allowing room for the pan to sit in here on top of them, so that when we pour the deck, it'll be even with the top of the beams. Okay, now we're going to frame the interior of the bays with K-Series 14K3 joists. So I'm going to go back to structure. Actually, I'll go back to my top of roof. Okay, update to medium, go to shaded so I can see what's going on. Okay, so now we're going to go to a beam system. And in my beam type, I need to look for, do I have the right one? No, I do not. So under structure, I'm going to go click on beam. I'm going to go to load family, go down to the bottom to structural, and we're going to look for structural framing, steel. Okay, and we want to look for K-series bar joist angle web. So it's the difference of the elements within the web being made out of rods or angle iron. So we're going to click angle, open, and we need to load the 14K3 joist. So 14K3 is right there, and OK. So we've got that one selected. I'm going to go back to structure and now go to beam system. Change the beam type to our 14K3. All right, set it to beginning. Fixed distance will be set at 5 feet this time. All right, and then now I'm going to come up here. I'll hover over the beam at column 2. So that looks good. Come over to the other side. We'll put it there as well. Good job. Next, we're going to add the vertical bracing. So I'll hit escape to get out of this tool. So we have to do this in a vertical view, but it can't be added in an existing exterior elevation. So what we'll do is we'll have to add a new elevation. Let's go to our top of slab. So go to view, and we have 3D view section, call out plan. Here's elevation. Okay, and we want to go down to framing elevation. Excuse me. So framing elevation. And what that does is it looks at our grids and it helps us define a grid that we're going to draw that in. Okay? So over here between column lines A and B, I'm going to select it looking in towards the building. Click. It'll be named elevation 1A. Okay. And I think I just did these backwards of what our instructions say, but we'll put these in anyways. Alright, so we've got those two. So 1A and 2A on mine are backwards, but we can work with that. Okay? So we'll click on this one. If we need to, we can. It's honestly easier to come over here into elevations, framing elevations, and rename them. So 1A I'm going to rename as South Framing Elevation. Okay. I'm going to go to the other one, rename and call it North Framing Elevation. All right. So let's activate one of them, and we're going to resize what's going on here. So let me go to the South Framing one, or go to North Framing. I'm going to select this box. This box is limiting what we can and can't see. So I'm going to drag it out so I can see the whole building. There we go. I'm going to go in and change our detail level up to fine. I'm going to change our visual style to shaded. Just helps us see what we're doing. So this should look like the detail in your drawings you see below step 14. All right. Okay, we're going to go back up to structure. We're going to go to the one called brace. We are going to do this with an HSS 4x4 by 1/4 inch. It's hollow steel square 4x4 by 1/4 inch thick. Okay. It looks like we don't have one. I'm going to select a similar one. We'll go to edit, load, go down to structural framing, steel, hollow structural section. It's tube, it's round. We want section, so it's square. Hit open. And we want to find a 4x4x14. So it should be down here fairly close. 4x4 by quarter. That's what we want. Sorry. Hit OK. Okay. Now we're good. So we're going to draw. Okay. So I'm going to come up here. So I'm picking this endpoint work point of the steel from there to the midpoint of this piece of steel. Work point, midpoint, work point, midpoint, work point, midpoint. So it should look roughly like this. Okay? Now, once we've done that on the south, we'll do it on the same. Remember, we're installing these between the B and the C columns. That over. Stretch my view box out. Change my detail level to fine. Got it shaded so I can see well. So I need to do it over here in B and C. So again, go back to brace. Hollow structural section, 4x4 by quarter inch. We're good. Endpoint, mid, endpoint, mid, endpoint. Zoom in to make sure we get it. Mid, endpoint, mid. Now you'll notice that these kind of line up, but not everything is always perfect, so we are better off just going ahead and doing it the way that we talked about. All right. Now we're going to add a shaft opening around our stairwell. Now to do this, we're going to have to go to our top of slab second floor. Okay. And I'm trying to remember if we did put a slab on that yet or not. Oh, we haven't yet because we're going to do this first. So we're going to go in here, we're going to put a shaft opening. Now to do that, we need to come over here and click on the one called shaft for your openings. And I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to use my pick lines. And I can select the edge of these steel. The advantage of using this over just drawing the rectangle is that we can lock these lines to that opening. So if the steel should move, we can actually have this opening move with it. All right, I'll hit check. And now let's go to our elevation. So if I want here, I can actually select it. I need to pull that down to make sure that it goes all the way through the first floor. We change pages here. But we don't want it to go through the second floor. So it should exist right here in that happy little region there. Okay. If we want to, we can even come back. We could say that change the base offset to top of slab and set it to 1 foot up. Or we could change the top constraint to be top of slab second floor. And change the top offset to be 10 feet. Apply. And see there it exists. Either one is fine. It would have been fine the way we left it. This is just the more formal way. Okay. So next we're going to go and add an elevated slab on the second floor. So top of slab, second floor. Now this time, instead of putting a slab, we're going to actually put in a real floor. Floor structural. Okay. We're going to go to edit type. We're going to make sure we're on 3-inch concrete on 2-inch metal deck. So let's check. And we're going to use the regular metal deck, not the composite or the dovetail rib composite. Okay. Let's hit OK. Now we can go and hit pick lines. All right. we're going to go, we want to pick the outside edges of our beams. So 1, 2, 3. Now notice, since I picked this first one here, these additional lines show the span direction for what's going on. Okay, so these double lines right here, they represent the span direction for the major direction of our concrete. Now, we want the span to actually be going this way. So think of this meaning that's the direction that the ribs in the deck are aimed at. So right now, it's going to go this way. We want the ribs to go across these minor members in our steel. So I'm going to pick span direction. I'm going to pick this line over here. That way it flips it over there. Okay? So, and so I've got those. I'm going to select these to close it all around. I know right now it's going through the steel. Oh, we need to select the bottom. But we will clean that up here in just a little bit. Okay, I'll hit shh. Okay, now before we actually set this, I'm going to come over here, and under level, I'm going to go height offset from level. It's 3 inches of concrete that's above this decking here, and 2 inches of deck, so that's a total of 5 inches thick. We want this to sit on top of the steel, so I'm going to change the height offset from level to 5. If I click on it, 5 inches. Let's hit apply. Now let's hit check mark to finish. All right, I'm going to go to our section at column line A. Right now I can't see much, so I'm going to take and I'm going to drag it up so I can see. So there's my steel, there's my steel, there's my deck sitting on top. Pull our labels out so we can see that nice and clean. And there's our joist that we made up on top. Okay? All right, I'm going to go back into top of slab second floor real quick, and selecting the slab, I'm going to go to edit boundary, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to pick the ends of the steel and clean up to those edges real quick. The reason for that is we don't want to account for both steel and concrete in the same opening. So there, 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 split. Now use our trim and extend as we go around. That looks great. Let's go to the other corner. Pick lines. End of the steel, end of the steel. Trim and extend. Okay, go down to the bottom corners. Get these as well. Steel, steel. Trim and extend, trim, extend, trim, extend. Okay, got 2 more to do here. So here's our center. So steel, 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 split element. Then we'll go around and we'll trim and extend. And then we've got 1 more corner to do over here, unless we already did it. Nope. Pick lines, steel, steel. Do the trim and extend as we go around. There we go. So now we don't have concrete trying to exist at the same place. We have a vertical structural column. Check. Okay. If I go into my 3D view, I look right here, you can see the concrete's cut out around the steel. All right, let's go up to the top on our top of slab roof. Let's add some decking. So let's go to floor, structural floor. And we're going to go in here and we're going to go to edit type. And on the type, we're going to pull down, and all we want is the 1.5 inch metal roof deck. So we aren't going to have any concrete on top, just the metal roof deck. Okay. Hit OK. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say height offset needs to be 1.5 inches. Apply. And we're going to go in. Now, because this layout's going to be the same as the other one, I'm going to do a quick little trick here. Real quick, I'm going to make a little box in the middle just so it does make a slab. And I'm going to adjust the span direction to the right direction. Now, I'll hit check to finish it. So it just made a little fake floor. I'm going to go back to top of slab second floor. Select my slab. Edit boundary. I'm going to select the entire boundary. Go to copy. Let's go back. We'll finish it. Hit check mark to finish. Go back to top of roof. And go to edit boundary. We have to have an existing slab to be able to do this. Select our slab. Go to edit boundary. Make sure you have the slab, the decking on the upper floor selected first. Now we go over to paste, align to current view. That just dropped in the same edge as our previous level. So now we can go in, delete these lines out. But we do need to add our span direction on the short distance here, up and down. I'll hit check to finish. I'm going to go back to our section at column line A. So now we have our footing, pier, first slab, steel for the second floor, pan and concrete for the second floor, steel and joists for the upper floor, and then there's our pan for the top floor. So let's go to 3D view and take a quick look at that. Oh, we're zoomed in really well. Let's get out of that. So here we can see there's our metal pan, concrete, so you can see we've done a great job there and we've got everything done. So great job on this one. I'll go ahead and start working up a tutorial for you guys on the second one, which you guys will start tomorrow. And I look forward to seeing the work that you did. Please try and make sure that in these areas you do have the concrete cut out around the steel, because I am going to be looking for that. Though admittedly on the upper deck you could probably leave that out, but for us right now it's a good connection point to show that you paid attention. So excellent work, guys. I'm going to go ahead and center this up to make a nice view. File. Assuming my little blue wheel of death doesn't die. Nope, shouldn't have said that. Okay, so go back here, save as, project, and wherever you're selecting to put it in, I will drop this in my Dropbox account for our class. I will say Revit structural tutorial example. Oh, tutorial 1. Save that. And that Revit file is what you'll be turning in the Dropbox on Canvas. All right, so good work on that. And I look forward to seeing you guys over in number 2, and we'll get that one done as well.